is to find meaning in the suffering. 1. Literature is often maligned as being fantastical, unrealistic, or unserious. Those who criticize fiction in such a manner fail to see the profound psychological studies performed by the great literary works. Humans are infinitely fascinating. Their behavior, how they cope with society and the universe, is the subject of all excellent literature. The Western epic poetic tradition examines the human condition and proposes heroic solutions to humanity's perennial plight. Humanity is a condition composed of three parts. First, to be human is to enjoy the natural delights of this world. Such natural delights include the pleasure derived from consuming food which repairs the body, the joy found in our familial relationships, and the feeling of wonder found in observing the beauty of our surroundings. Many other natural pleasures exist. Second, to be human is to suffer. Suffering is the opposite of pleasure. The pain which causes suffering can be emotional or physical. Often the removal of some natural pleasure causes this pain. Third, to be human is to find a higher purpose for one's life. The removal of some pleasure creates a vacuum in someone's life. While that vacuum is left unfilled, the human being suffers. Most human beings then seek to alleviate this pain with the purpose that cannot be taken away by the uncertainty of life. This meaning could be a religious conviction, a political cause, or a personal goal. The theme of human suffering is eminently important to the epic tradition. Homer seems to develop this theme in the Odyssey more than the other epic poems. This poem in particular is full of references to mature men crying over their sorrow. Homer even describes the rent state of their hearts quite often. One such scene occurs in Book 14 when Odysseus examines the fidelity of his swineherd. His faithful servant laments his master's absence when he says, "Here I sit, my heart aching, broken for him." Odysseus, my master, my great king. Simon 366. Dr. Esolen expounded well upon this theme in his lecture when he said, "All this know-how is a gift of the gods, but Odysseus has come to know things also that the gods cannot know. He knows suffering. The gods can use strategy to get their way. Odysseus must use it, merely to survive. His life, though it is overseen by Athena, is deeper and more fascinating than anything the pagan goddess can in her own right ever experience." Esolen. Suffering, its cause, and its cure are the central concerns of the epic tradition. The Iliad, the Odyssey, the Aeneid, Beowulf, the Divine Comedy, and Paradise Lost all investigate this pattern of human behavior found in our nature. The Iliad displays this three-step process in the character of Achilles. First, before the poem begins, he wins a prized concubine named Briseis. Second, she is taken away by Agamemnon. Achilles becomes enraged and rebukes his leader in Book 1 when he says, "You overlook this, dog-face, or don't care, and now in the end you threaten to take my girl, a prize I sweated for, and soldiers gave me." Fitzgerald 10. Eventually Achilles withdraws from society, and contemplates the purpose of life. He finally determines upon a goal which no earthly power can take away: everlasting glory in the tales of men. He attains this goal through prowess in battle. Odysseus suffers a similar fate. After attaining a lavish palace in Ithaca, he is deprived of his home for decades. Odysseus' solution is to overturn his fate through sheer force, and reclaim his prized possession. The Aeneid too displays a similar fate for Aeneas. Aeneas once held vast human and material wealth in his earthly paradise, Troy. After suffering the destruction of his home, he only finds consolation for this loss in the thought of fathering the future glory of Rome through his faithful quest. All of these pre-Christian epics investigate the human condition's tendency toward natural pleasure, suffering, and finding meaning in earthly accomplishments. The understanding of mankind's relation to the universe changes as the era of epics leaves the pre-Christian world and enters Christendom. The epic hero of the Christian era still suffers from deprivation of some earthly pleasure, but now he finds reassurance in a heavenly afterlife rather than some lofty earthly accomplishment. Beowulf is an excellent case study of the shift from pre-Christian to Christian sentiment. Beowulf is a pre-Christian hero who seeks a pagan solution to the suffering encountered in life. However, in this poem the noticeably Christian author comments on the vanity of paganism throughout the poem. Every great pagan accomplishment in the poem, a victory over some monster by Beowulf, is followed up by a funeral. The fleeting joy of the earthly glory is quickly contrasted with the inevitability of death. This new epic Christian solution for the dilemma of the human condition is also expounded upon by Dante in his Divine Comedy and Milton in Paradise Lost. Dante the Pilgrim's solution for the dark wood of life's suffering is salvation, or paradise. In Milton's epic, Paradise Lost, Adam and Eve's solution for their loss of the joy of Eden is repentance on earth. The epics we studied remain relevant to contemporary life for three reasons. First, many moderns do not believe there is such a thing as human nature. They believe that human nature is malleable. A renewed interest and emphasis on these epics would ameliorate this problem by reminding people that there is a specific human condition that unites all people throughout all of history. Second, many moderns do not have a firm grasp on the purpose of life. They flounder amidst a sea of relativism and usually become selfish. The Western epic tradition has the power to remind them of our heroic calling in this life. We all are called to sacrifice for our country and community. We all are called to heroically strive against the vicissitudes of life, and ultimately find a higher purpose. Dr. Alves reiterated this point in his lecture when he said, "An epic attempts within a single poem to give bearings on the chief concerns of human life, how to conduct oneself in relations to other men, in relation to the family, the social and political order, and in relation to divine beings." Alves. Nowhere better do we remind ourselves of these truths than in the Western epics. Third, a renewed emphasis on the epic poetry would cure the culturally deracinated modern man to his cultural roots. These great literary works transcend epochs, cultures, and ethnicities. Professor Drought explained this point well in his lecture on Beowulf when he said, "What makes the epic is the engagement with both the heroic, mythological world and the historical, political, cultural world in all its complexity. It is that blending, and absolute mastery of a verse form, that makes an epic an epic." Drought. All of the great Western epics, unite us with our ancestors and remind us of what our forebears have learned from their experience. One aspect of human nature is the stubborn capacity to forget. We suffer from perpetual amnesia. Cultural traditions, of which Western epic poetry consists, remind us of the truths we so quickly forget.